Namaste, welcome back to my channel. This is your tarot reader and astrologer Shravanti, and after quite a long break, I'm back, and we are now going to look into a series of videos which are going to be very useful for you. And this particular video is actually a video which I had been thinking of speaking for quite some time. So what is this? What is this important topic? Of course, numerology or naming a baby is considered to be a very confusing thing for the parents nowadays. So all I get is a lot of phone calls, a lot of messages saying, ma'am, this numerologist is saying this is what, this is the rule, what is the starting syllable I want to keep, the starting syllable for my baby, we are not very convinced, we don't like those names. So many confusions are there, and in that many people are not knowing what is the priorities they have to give. Whether you need to give priorities to the starting letter, whether you need to give priority to the name with the initial or the last name, or whether you're going to give priority to the God's name. For example, certain parents want Subramanya Swami, Murugar, Krishna's name. So all these confusing messages keep coming in. So in this video, I'm going to clarify as a whole how the entire numerology system works and how you can easily name your baby, or anybody around you want to name their baby, how can they easily name without any confusions. So let us go point by point. So the first point, the starting letter according to the star. For example, my daughter or son is Anusha Nakshatra. So the starting letters are Na, Ni, Nu, Ne, No. Okay, for example. So for boys, they are saying, ma'am, Na, Ni, Nu, this no names we don't like. Okay. And they are also afraid if they have to keep some other name with a different starting letter, will that affect the child? So now please understand that the syllables sound is given in according to the nakshatra, but it also depends upon the horoscope of the baby. For example, if you see any big stars or any names which are kept for backward 50 years or 100 years before, nobody used to check that nakshatra name and keep. For example, even my name is not according to the nakshatra. But how did it work out? It is mainly because of the energy of the name, the God's name, how it affects from the kid's horoscope. So, if you don't like the starting letter's name, you don't have to worry. But if that syllable gets repeated in the name, for example, this Na, Ni, Nu, Ne, No, for example, that Na gets repeated 2 times in the name, Nu gets repeated 2 times. So that energy will come. That is that nakshatra's energy that will come. That is why Narendra Modi. So Na comes, Re comes. That if you take it and divide it in the Indian numerology way, you can see how the syllables work in a person's horoscope. So please get it clarified that if you are going to name your child and you don't like any names from the particular starting letter, you don't have to worry. Now, the second priority that a parent has to keep is whether they are going to use the initial or the last name, and whether they are going to use 2 names. So I got a call from a parent saying that if we keep double name, it is very lucky, ma'am. If we keep triple name, it is very lucky. So there is no hit and run rule that you have to keep 2 names, you have to keep 3 names. For example, I name a child Rinku, okay, and Rinku Chawla or something. Now, certain parents want to keep it as C Rinku for the family name. So you have to be clear how you want to use it, and in numerology, you cannot just check the numerology with the name. You have to check it with the initial or the last name, because starting from the birth certificate to all the documentations to everything, it is going to be your full name. So you cannot just check the only one particular name of the child. For example, my name is Shravanti, but I cannot check numerology just with Shravanti. I have to check with my initial. So that number totally will change. So please make sure that you prioritize on the initial and last name. And there is no hit and run rule that you have to keep 2 names, 3 names. That's nothing like that. Unless and until the ultimate goal is the numerological number gets strong and is strong according to the baby's horoscope. Please understand, it is horoscope which plays a major role rather than just adding that date of birth or any other technique which is very, very incomplete. The third is prioritizing which god's name you want to keep. For example, certain families have a tradition of keeping Subramanya Swami Murugar's name. Certain families have the tradition of keeping Krishna's name, Perumal's name, Shiva's name. If there is a tradition in your family, I will definitely see, please go by your tradition. Why? Because the family's lineage, punya or energy flows through the name, flows through the devata. For example, I knew a family, the father's name is Sendil, the mother's name is Nandini, but out of the blue they named their son Kishore Kannan. So that was like a little out of the box and it did not gel well. So what happens is, if you have a tradition of naming the child behind a god or behind a goddess, please do that. In these cases, you don't have to prioritize on the first aspect, which is the starting letter. Okay, so this is very, very clear. Now the next thing is the modern names. So there is a huge confusion in the present generation of naming. I want modern name, ma'am. I want really modern name. But there is a hitch, there is a problem with this. That is, if you go for really modern names, the meaning of the name is like somewhat awkward certain times. In that cases, I will always stress the parents to focus on the god, the planet and the meaning. We cannot just keep some meaning and we cannot expect the child to excel perfectly well. Okay, there are certain names which have a different meaning. There are certain names which have a positive meaning. They have a certain names which have a negative meaning. Just because they are in Sanskrit, just because they are very modern like Ahana, Gyana and all, doesn't mean that it is going to be very good for the child. Especially when it comes to numerology, the pronunciation, how the sound of the name is very, very, very important. That is why I always tell the parents to think 4 times, 5 times before naming the child, because in this present generation, once you name, you cannot change. You have to go back you have to apply the gazette, you have to do all the procedures, which is very tedious. So please make sure you name your child properly, think 4 to 5 times and don't get confused. So this video I hope is very, very helpful for newly married couple, or the couples who are expecting soon, or the couples who just delivered. If you want specific numerology consultation, or you want specific numerology doubt clearance, or you want to name your child, then you can definitely contact me through the WhatsApp number below, and also log into my website. Thank you very much.